Psycho Pass Season 1 is my hands down favorite anime of all time. In fact, I'm going to go more than that and say it's my favorite media property anything of all time. I think it's just so almost near perfect. Season 2 is, well, I made a video about why it failed, so I'll let you fill in the blanks there. But no matter what happens to the series, I'm gonna follow it in the same way that I begrudgingly watched every episode of Tokyo Ghoul from Route A onward. The problem is, this gets a bit more complicated with Psycho Pass. We have Season 1, Season 2, Psycho Pass the movie, 3 Sinners of the System movies, and then Season 3, which is clearly setting the stage for even more. And English releases are scattered, to say the least. Now, one good and bad thing about the situation is, you really only need to see Season 1 to watch Season 3. Characters from the second season are around, but their old arcs aren't really relevant. The movie doesn't really have a bearing on 3's plot, and apparently the Sinners movies add extra detail and backstory, but aren't needed either, but I'm just going on what I've heard about them. Hopefully I'll get to make videos for everything else one day, but for now we're talking about Season 3, and we have to ask if it's really even Psycho Pass anymore, if this should just be Detective Show Season 1. This isn't to say it's bad, but to look at what's new, what's old, and how they intermingle to make a decent, yet still very flawed, season of anime. Now, one of the best things about Season 1, and one of the reasons why I love it, is it followed the inspectors, but it wasn't about the cases. It was about ideology, philosophy, and the weird ethics of the futuristic cyberpunk setting with the omnipotent, kind of omnipotent because some people are immune to it, self-proclaimed god system of criminals. I fucking love how weird it is. Now, Season 2 was stuck in the middle. It was much more focused on a traditional crime drama plot, but still tried to force some of the same themes in as well. It has some Metal Gear Solid 4 problems, where the characters were shoved into roles based on convenience rather than staying true to what they were. There were loose ends, fans don't want loose ends, so you throw characters in whatever holes they fit in. It just didn't work trying to do both at once, but I have a whole video on that if you want to check that out for more detail. Also, the mere existence of anything past Season 1 fucking ruins the ending of Season 1, which was near perfect, because it was just a shot for shot of the opening. So it's this theme that the cycle continues, even without Akane, even with what Akane did. God damn it, Season 2. Season 3 completes this transformation and focuses on the drama with a very vague backseat whisper of what it used to be. Psychopaths. As a huge fan of what Season 1 is, this is disappointing, I really can't lie. I kept watching, trying to pick out some deeper meaning the whole 8 episodes, and there really isn't much outside of some very quick lines here and there. It's a bit like Durarara, but less elegant in its subtle dodging of deep philosophical talks for vague interest. Now, Makishima, Akane, and Koga Me mostly acted on principle. What they did was for and in relation to their bonds and ideals, not for a mystery. The plot is about stopping Makishima, but it asks what the right way to do that is, and if he should even be stopped. Now, the new inspectors for Season 3, Arata and Kei, are kind of like 9 and 12 from Terror in Resonance. Their actions are performed to drive the plot forward for the plot's sake, because it's their plot. They talk about uncovering their truth, the antagonists know or use their families, and simply put, this is about them. Koga Me and Akane reacted to his actions with their own input on justice, free will, and society's direction. This is another part of what made Season 1 so fantastic, because it's very relatable to watch people reacting to a situation they're forced into. Now we're following 2 men who are driving everything we see, bending the chief's orders, dealing with their own relationship, and changing the course of the enemy's path directly. This isn't bad, but it creates something very different. I actually enjoyed it as a slowly developing drama once I stopped looking for Season 1's shadow. As this type of drama, I can say this is something worth watching, just don't expect anything too deep. Now, I sounded a bit like that was kind of like a conclusion, but don't worry. We've got a lot left still. Another part of the transition from 1 to 3 is the cast. Division 1 itself only has a single character left from prior seasons, and it's show from Season 2. Remember the really quiet one with like the emo hair? It's him. Like the least characterized character in the history of the series. Now, Shimotsuki is still around, but she's the chief now and plays a very backseat role, but we'll get to that later. This sounds a little rough, but it's actually a good thing for 3's transition to its own sense of self. They get to work with and develop all new personalities within the direct cast. The new team is serviceable, making you think of the old members, but not copying them. You see Kei for the first time and you go, he's a little bit like Ganoza. But they're not direct copies of them. Again, it's pretty good to draw a clear line between what it was and what it is now, so I don't disagree with having an almost entirely new cast. I don't have much to say about them though. There's an imbalance in the enforcer to inspector relationship. The enforcers this time around are really just vessels to keep everything flowing. Inspectors have enforcers with them, so we have to have enforcers. For a Psychopath season, this is fucking terrible. Koga Me being an enforcer was critical to his themes. He was subjugated, but fought up against all sides, what the perceived good and the perceived evil, to become Shogo's free man in a time where people's souls lacked splendor. Was he just a dog hunting its prey, or was he something more? Him being an enforcer greatly helped these ideas pan out. If you're making a drama about 2 cops though, this change makes sense. With 2 inspectors in the spotlight, you don't need strongly developed enforcers, you just need workable ones. Arata and Kei are what this is all about, so I understand having the rest of the cast feed into them. It focuses the efforts on what's important. So make a new cast. Don't really bother spending too much time on the enforcers. That's all fine and dandy. But then, now this is a very slight spoiler warning because it really doesn't impact the plot at all. But jump ahead to the time on screen to avoid some light spoilers. They kind of say, fuck that for fan service by bringing back the old enforcers! So, Koga Me is back. Ganoza's back, but with Koga Me. Yayoi is back too. Because, I mean, she was cool, I liked her. I don't know why she wasn't just still there as an enforcer. And these are the worst decisions of the season. Because the best things it has going for it are just best outside of Psychopaths. This was also a big flaw of the movie, where they really properly brought Koga Me back. Now don't get me wrong, I love Koga Me. Everyone loves Koga Me. He's a dark-haired sad boy who's hot and quotes philosophy. Fuck me up. I don't think Koga Me needed anything else to his story though. He was a great one-season plot and theme critical, deeply interconnected with his surroundings character. If you bring him back without that stuff, is it really even the same character? So Editing Me has made the executive decision to cut out an almost 5-minute rant on why bringing Koga Me back is stupid, and I'll just summarize some of the points here to save both of us some time. Now, Koga Me is a great character in the context of Season 1. I think bringing him back is a mistake because it devalues the ending primarily of Season 1, but also all of Season 1, because he is so deeply connected to those characters. He has this half kind of romance thing going on with Akane and is working with her, but working against her idea of justice. And he hates Makishima but embodies everything Makishima wants from the society. And with these super deeply personal connections, this kind of romance and kind of rivalry, he had a purpose that was extremely unique to what was happening there. Because he wasn't a character that was just there to drive the plot. He wasn't the character that, the whole story was there for him. He was there to exemplify all of these themes insanely well. So, giving him something else to do just to have him do something else doesn't feel natural and feels cheap. Anyway, I'm starting to rant again, so rant over. Let's move on so I'm not taking up your whole day. But this is a bit of out of the frying pan into the freezer because now I have to rant about Sybil. Now, when I mention Season 1, I usually do 3 names. Makishima, Koga Me, Akane. But Sybil was the center point of all the original things, and was deeply connected with all 3 characters. Then, in Season 2, it took the sad role of an obstructive higher-up. Now, it's there? Really, it's become nothing more than a part of the setting. For what Season 3 wants to be, I can't say I hate this in theory. It makes sense for them to keep Sybil out of the spotlight, because its role was completed and we saw how weird it felt in Season 2. They moved on to new themes that have less to do with the self-declared god of Japan. What I do hate, though, is this is still labeled as psychopaths, and they just keep making Sybil even dumber, even though they made it super dumb in Season 2. At first, it was calculating and intelligent and cold, but cocky and arrogant and failed in 1. In 2, it was just there for conflict and contradicted exactly what it was before because it really respected Akane and even wanted to bring her into the system, but then now she's in the way and they love Shimotsuki. Fucking Shimotsuki! Now it's just manipulatable and blind. A big part of the story depends on abandoned zones, which are explained as a way to help keep society healthy. Wait, what the fuck? How does that work? People's views go up from even witnessing violence. You're gonna tell me it makes sense to keep zones full of fucking debauchery and violence and shit, and it's gonna make people healthier? What the fuck? This makes no sense, and it shows a problem with continuing from 1 and 2. Makishima was special as fuck. They never seen shit like him to the degree that he fucked everything up. As a criminally asymptomatic man, he was able to operate under Sybil, so it had power, but not against him. 2 comes around and redoes that, but in a worse and much more complicated way, because they already did something very special and very different to what the system is. You can see that it really wasn't supposed to continue from there, because what they came up with to make something stronger than Makishima was very convoluted. Kamui is always gonna fucking suck. By the way, he deserves the stupid Kirito name. So, you make another season, and you either go with an even more complex version of the same thing, or do it different. But you're still stuck in the canon of the originals where everyone is being watched all the time by this half-omnipotent, judgmental god. So the only way to keep going is to make Sybil stupid and blind. Make a bunch of excluded zones where criminals can operate, so we can really just shove Sybil to the side and focus on these 2 guys now. But these are a bunch of god complexes who want power. They would never fucking do that. And in Psychopaths the movie was focused on expanding the system outside Japan. But they're not even covering all of Japan yet. It falls to some of the same issues as 3, where, oh hey look, in 1, here's a way normal people were able to get around cymatic scans. How do we do that again? But those are more spoiler heavy, so I'm not going to go over them and ruin the good little bits of mystery this season has going for it. Essentially, I get why all of this happened, but the execution with respect to the lore is underdone. Now, you've probably noticed there's someone I haven't mentioned yet with respect to to being in Season 3. Someone pretty major, like a main character, like a protagonist, that's gone. Akane. This isn't spoilers because they really show everything new about her in the intro. There's some more bits, but it's really nothing important. So, what's new with Akane? Because she's not in Division 1 anymore. I don't fucking know. She's locked up in a facility that looks like one of the places from Season 1 where Koga Me takes her. Now again, in theory, if you want to make a drama out of Psychopaths, you have to replace Akane because she's all about justice and upholding law in society and what law really means. But they did her dirty. This is the Luke's lightsaber of anime. Now, as most of you probably already know, in Star Wars Episode 7, Han is given Luke's old lightsaber by Maz, and when he asks how she got it, she responds, "A good question for another time." It's a story model dubbed mystery box storytelling. You put something the viewer wants to know in front of their face, but make them wait to know it. Or, if you're talking about the newest Star Wars trilogy, you just never fucking tell them. This season doesn't address what happened to Akane. They just reference an incident. That's probably the worst part of the transition. Even when it felt like Koga Me versus Makishima, Akane was necessary to frame themes. She kept the story from being about right versus wrong and showed the ambiguous nature of the antagonists. And then, the good part of 2 was watching her as a badass. She got to jump in front of basically a tank and blast the fuck out of it in Episode 1. You fucking go, girl. It was the payoff for everything she went through beforehand. She actually developed. We see her at the end of Season 1 become this badass where she's standing up to Koga Me and saying, "Yeah, I'll fucking shoot you." And then she gets done dirty like this. To relegate her to a mystery box element just feels cheap. Now, she'll probably be working in the Grand Plan, and it's shown she had some sort of a hand in assigning new members to Division 1, but she deserves better. It's another case of understandable choices with less understandable execution. Oh, but her Season 2 foil. Shimotsuki. Shimotsuki is chief. Shimotsuki with power. This is something I'm actually perfectly fine with. I like that she's basically useless as some weird Sybil puppet that just gets mad and crazily eats Pez out of a MWPSB themed Pez dispenser. Maybe it's just because I hate her, but this feels like a tactical choice. She was not a popular character and really wasn't meant to be. There's probably a long game payoff here. Putting an antagonistic character into a position of power when the two main inspectors have clearly ulterior motives is gonna be a good setup if they go against the system. The only reason we could give for her being where she is her cultish loyalty to the system's ideals. She accepted its truth exactly as they wanted citizens to in the future, so she's its model of the model citizen. Sorry, I used model twice there. I kind of went off the cuff a little bit. And that makes her a great target for its inevitable downfall if they go that route. Now, this is all speculatory, but she's also a good way to shift focus to make some other, more spoiler-related characters look better in the grand scheme of things and keep the viewer's plate from having too much on it. Again, this is about two guys and their very personal story. Everything else is just there for this plot's use. I never thought I'd be giving them credit for fucking Shimotsuki! But here we are. Even though I hate her, you made her story in relation to it better. Good job, guys. In the limited amount of videos out there for this season, I've seen some flack for the mental tracing. Now that's Artez is basically magic see the past ability. They say something empathy, but it's really just magic. Now there's a reason I've been saying drama rather than crime drama, which I labeled Season 2 as, for Season 3. That's because although the cases matter, they function the same as everything else. This world is revolving around Arata and Kei. So I don't have any problems with him having a skill that makes cases easier in an interesting way. It also makes the cases more real and relatable because we get to see them directly play out. What is flawed about it though is its power. This is some OP ass shit. He can apply this to, I was gonna say any crime, but anything, and know everything about it instantly. And that's too far in the other direction. That's like just fucking turning God mode on and blasting through the game. So it has to be limited in some way, which is played out as the extreme toll it takes on his mind and body. He sees these distorted animal heads on people during his traces, or even when he's sleeping or spaced out. The dude's kind of mentally fucked, and I hope that goes somewhere because it's creepy shit, and I love creepy shit. He also feels the physical pain of the people he's tracing. All this really means is there's a constant obstacle to the cases where other members of the division are saying, "No, you can't use your tracing, you'll get hurt." And those types of holds get annoying in anything. It feels like a lazy way of writing around a cool power they wanted the protagonist to have. And I'd rather just have it be more limited and cut out all the faff worrying about him for it. Now it does look like it's going to be a quite larger plot point later with its mental health implications, but not right now. And that leads into the final point for today, which you're probably all so happy to hear because this is long. Season 3 is really just a prologue. There's a lot I haven't covered here, both because it relates less to the topic than what we've already gone over, and because it's more spoiler heavy, and I can't be asked to write any more about this. Jesus Christ, I've written so much on Psycho-Pass from season 1 and why it was great, and the ethics of it. I researched fucking law for that shit. Never put it out, but I could. In season 2 and why it's bad, and now I've written so much on Psycho-Pass! But with 8 45-minute episodes, there's a lot of what ifs. What's going to happen with the shadowy organization in the background? How is Akane's story going to play out? Is Arata going to go insane? And a lot more things I didn't go over unique to this season, like immigration, the government, and some new antagonists. And it's all open doors for how things will pan out later. I guess since it was entertaining enough, that's not a problem. I'm going to watch the next season when it's available, but I'm not going to be sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for it. At the end of the day, there's really not much to say for it as it stands on its own. Where Season 2 tried to copy the original, this more or less tries to grab you in with the original. It's a name. It's recognizable. Is it the same series? Hell no. Not at all. If you are going into this expecting more Psycho-Pass 1, I wouldn't bother watching it unless you want to watch a nice, decent, slowly developing drama. But if you're looking for Psycho-Pass 1 in this, you're not going to have a good time. I usually take an absurd shit ton of notes on everything that I think I can make a topic of out of an anime. And I had nothing for this season because there's not much to talk about like there was for season 1 because it's something very different. It's just entertainment. It's not telling you anything deeper. So basically, I'd go get some drinks with it, but I'm not going to introduce it to my parents or anything. So I guess I'll just have to sit around forever and wait for another pretty philosophy boy to come around. Oh, baby, let's fucking do this shit. I've been trying to do an off-the-cuff outro for a good many tries now, so I'm just going to come out and say it. You know, if you liked what you saw, go ahead and subscribe. I have more videos like this, and I'm going to make more in the future, and I'll probably talk a shit ton more about Psycho-Pass as well. Leave a like or a comment. You know, tell me what you liked about it, what you didn't like, if you feel different, if you have a good point I didn't go over. If you think I'm a fucking idiot with an annoying voice, let me know down below. Anything helps. If you want to share with some people, that'd be fucking stellar too, and I would love you for that. But it's your life. I'm not going to make you do anything. I also can't in any way. So I'll leave all that up to you. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, especially if you got all the way to the end here. I mega greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you later.